Dominica wants compensation from the EU for being blacklisted, and in sport medals for Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago at the Central American and Caribbean Championships. I'm Ricardo Robertson. This is Caribbean in 10 for Tuesday, July 9th. I'll be back with the details after the break.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says Europe should give his country some form of compensation for wrongly putting it on a blacklist of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. The European Union removed the island from the list in May, but Skerrit said Europe should consider the compensation because the decision to put the island on the list in the first place was wrong. He said the EU blacklisted Dominica for no reason, and he did not want its congratulations for being taken off the list. Skerrit said, quote, "You cannot extend an injustice to my country, and then when you have sought to undo the justice, you are congratulating me. You should be indicating to me as the leader of my country what form of compensation you should be putting to us for denying us our right for self-determination," end quote. At their annual summit in St. Lucia last week, CARICOM leaders said they viewed the blacklisting of some Caribbean countries by the EU as a clear and direct threat to the economic well-being of those countries and the region. The man who resigned as chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, following the Caribbean Court of Justice ruling that his appointment was flawed, is among the nominees President David Granger has put forward for the position. Now, following a meeting between government and opposition delegations yesterday evening to hammer out the selection of a new chairman, Director General at the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, disclosed that Granger had submitted 8 names for consideration. While Harmon did not disclose the identities of the nominees, the opposition revealed the list at a press conference later in the evening, and it included retired Justice James Patterson, who demitted office 2 weeks ago after the CCJ ruled that the president's decision to unilaterally appoint him in 2017 was unconstitutional. The others are Kadim Khan, Justice Claudette Labinet, and Dr. Aubrey Armstrong, Cassandra Alves, Kim Kite Thomas, Stanley King, and Stanley Moore. But the opposition said it was surprised at the president's submission, as they expected the talks would focus on choosing from the list of 11 which opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo had submitted. The Constitution provides for the appointment of a chairman from a list of 6 persons not acceptable, or not unacceptable rather, to the president, submitted by the opposition leader. The 11 Jagdeo submitted came from the 18 that Granger previously rejected before appointing Patterson. They are Annette Arjun Martins, retired Justice of Appeal B.S. Roy, Captain Jerry Gouveia, retired Major General Joseph Singh, Attorney at Law Kashir Khan, former Senior Magistrate Krishan Das Prasad, Human Rights and Conflict Resolution Consultant Lawrence Lachman Singh, retired Major General Norman McLean, Wanasi Lafleur, former Chair of the Private Sector Commission Ramesh Duku, and retired Judge William Ramlal.
It was our clear understanding that we were going there this afternoon to consider those 11 names and for the government to indicate, or rather the president's nominees and delegates on that, in that engagement, to tell us which of the 11 names the president finds acceptable and which he does not find acceptable. Lo and behold, when we get there, we are confronted with a list from the government side or from the president side, and the members of the president team informs us that they have no instruction in relation to the 11 names. And that, we believe, violates the good faith which is intended for this process to succeed.
The two sides are due to resume talks this afternoon, but Nandalal said what happened yesterday does not augur well for the continuation of the process.
Unless we have a commitment before tomorrow afternoon that the government is committed seriously to inform us at the tomorrow afternoon engagement that they will formally consider those 11 names and we can have some kind of result to bring back to the leader of the opposition, then we will not be persuaded that the government is acting in good faith, and we will not be persuaded that the process is being constructively pursued.
And stay with us, your Midday Sport is next. Barbados was among two Caribbean countries finishing with precious metals at the conclusion of the Central American and Caribbean Championships. They claimed silver overall in the tournament, which was won by Mexico, while Trinidad and Tobago got the bronze medal. As we hear in this CBC News report, the Bayesians ended the championships going under to Puerto Rico in water polo on Sunday.
The 15 in the Blue Caps against Puerto Rico. That's Marino Jose Del Rio easily beating the keeper to open their account. And before you could say splash, the visitors had already tossed in another through Kai Alexander del Ortiga Ramirez. Fast forward a bit with Puerto Rico now looking for their third, and they got it through Andres Garcia Diaz. But the Bajan lads fired back with Kai Ryan Adams finally finding the back of the net to make the score 3-1. However, Martin Furriega with a spirited swim and the loop over the goalie added two more. This is one of them for Puerto Rico to lead the first 5-1. Let's fast forward to the final quarter with Puerto Rico leading 12-3. Well, let's make that 13-3 after this fair strike by Garcia. After a block by the keeper, Jimmy Ardano then added the final nail in the coffin. That's 14 for Puerto Rico. And the consolation goal came late in the game for Barbados from some distance away. That's Adams. But the visitors still swam away with a resounding 14-4 win.
And that's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Until then, good afternoon.